Hello, everyone. It's my great pleasure and honor to be in this stage. Uh, so I've been teaching in Yonsei University for 30 years, supervising more than 75 master degree and a PhD degree. So I was reaching a kind of retirement age, and I was thinking about what can I do, what I can do furthermore, and then so I chose to be a professor in Nazarbayev University in the physics department. And it's been only 1 year for me. So I'd like to share my thought and vision, hopefully, that might be helpful in the Kazakhstan's future. So let's start with it. It's a photonics lighting the future of the Kazakhstan. For the sake of introduction, so this is the Isaac Newton. And Isaac Newton is very famous for inventing the very discovering and inventing the differentiations and integrations to describe how the motions is under the rule of gravitational force, gravity, and that is for the Principia. And at the same time, he wrote the book Optics. So the point I'd like to make is that optics or photonics has been out there for a long time. So it is part of physics, but it is maybe more than the part of physics, actually. Begin with this statement: light is invisible power. So it carries the world's information like this. Actually, I will show you some of the more detailed information, but it is actually undersea cables, optical fibers, where the light is running, carrying the old informations. Okay, here is the case. So here is the fiber optic network across the Atlantic Ocean, and there is a Pacific Ocean. And of course, the coastline of the South America, coastline of Africa, and et cetera, et cetera. So what it means is that when you just start the Instagram on your telephone, so you think that you are doing some kind of a wireless stuff. Of course it is, but the majority of the transmission signal is fed through this optical fiber. So when you click on some Instagram, some of the network is turned on and it may go to the United States. So everything is connected by the optical fiber network. It is more than what you think. For the Kazakhstan, I found out that recently Kazakhstan is playing a very important role, not only for the undersea cable, but also in the terrestrial, that means on the land. And I think that it is interesting. So it is connecting the east and west, as well as through the Caspian Sea, and then it is connecting the Europe. So it is not only for Silk Road. I think that it is going through some kind of a information road to connect the two continents. So this is the undersea cable here. So it is Aktau, and then you have Azerbaijan near the Baku. And I think that it is very important trial for the Kazakhstan to try both undersea cable and terrestrial. So land, sea. So Kazakhstan role is very clear if you think about the information, how the flow of information is being carried out. So you can have a bridge between continents, and it is not only for the land, undersea, but also in the satellite, so that the Kazakhstan can provide various pathway to connect the continents by carrying informations. And furthermore, I think that as you might know, that there are many Elon Musk's project, and there's so many satellites. But you might think that how those connection is going to be upgraded. the way is using photon light, so that here's us to satellite communication, and then us to, satellite to satellite communication. All of these are going to be made by the lasers, so that it is all connected by the light, not only in the land and on the sea, but also up in the sky. Basically, light is a kind of an internet. Medicine and the industry are the major field, so that you could say that light is actually hidden infrastructures. So you can see that there is Instagram and that there is a medical equipment. And then also it is more and more manufacturing is changing to the lasers. Sooner or later you will find out that robotics arms is holding lasers to cut and weld all the manufacturing parts. So you can say that why light wins? You can have a clear contrast. This is the previous copper cable, and this is the optical fiber. The information through the optical fiber is far faster and far larger than its capacity, so that you cannot win with the copper cable. So in terms of the speed and the bandwidth, and also the efficiency. So here is the cutting, old steel, but it is using the laser to cut and weld. So there is no comparison. So that's the way. Well, Kazakhstan is one of the very important oil and gas production country. And in fact, the photon, photon is also revolutionizing manufacturing in the mining especially. So if you think about it, there is an undersea oil and gas well, and then in fact, it is optical sensing from the surface to the oil well. It's all covered with the optical sensing. And furthermore, recently they are developing the drilling technology assisted by the laser. So this is the conventional one. You have this kind of a drilling bit, but nowadays they are using the lasers to melt down the rocks nearby, and then it is actually helping a lot. And then it is now changing even more our human interface. Right now we are using the finger to connect the whole world using our cell phones. But sooner or later it might be changing using glass. So finger to eye interface transformation is being actually pursued at this moment. Sooner or later you will wear the glasses, and maybe the cell phone might be just old tradition at some point. And also there is a photon plus AA, the next computing revolutions, and then you can see that there is a faster machine learning and operation efficiency, low power, low heat, and this is very important. And actually Jensen Huang, the founder of the NVIDIA, mentioned that they need to go to the photonic chip to reduce the thermal load and to increase the speed. That's the way to do it. And also there is a very important thing is the autonomous vehicles is also utilizing the light because it is sensing the distance using the video or some kind of a LiDAR using light. So I could say that data is the new oil. Kazakhstan's integrated path and the Energy Foundation and the digital future might be something like this. So Kazakhstan has been investing a lot. Actually, Western countries sees that it is a very good investment. So I think that Kazakhstan may need two tracks. One is for the conventional oil and gas industry. You should modernize it, but at the same time, you need to have an advanced fiber optic network to play an important role. One of the speakers was talking about middle power, and in order to play a middle power, you need to have some kind of infrastructures, and one of the infrastructure is this fiber optic network. And you might think that, okay, if that's the important technology, then what are the other developed countries are doing for photonics? Okay, so that is the United States. They say that is National Research Council is a kind of a organization under the White House. So they are reporting the president. And then all of the national academies is as in the Kazakhstan, the very few chosen scientists and engineers are gathered together, and then they send a white paper. And the title is very impressive. Optics and Photonics, Essential Technologies for Our Nation. It's very simple, but it's very powerful. So without photonics, maybe United States maybe not the one superpower at all. So they say that essential technology for our nation. And then what about the Europe? Is what they say is securing Europe's technological sovereignty through photonics. Sovereignty means you are independent. You do not listen to somebody else's. You do not obey what their orders. And Europe think that photonics is the key technology to keep their sovereignty technologically. So that developed countries think that photonics is essential for their existence. And it's time to think about what can we do. Okay, so I've been here only for 1 year, but I have not seen many photonics scientists, engineers, not to mention faculties. Probably I'm the one of the only few professors in the Kazakhstan or even Central Asia who is majoring the photonics. So let me just try to give you some of the example. So these are the GDP per capita from 1960 to 2020. So there's a China, Germany, Japan, Korea, United States, and OECD members. Korea is the yellow one. So 1970 is in the bottom. It doesn't show any sign here. And surprisingly, right now Korea has overcome Japan in terms of GDP. And if you think about it, photonics education started around 1970s in Korea. Of course, there's no industry, photonics. There's nobody, but one professor who graduated from United States came to Korea and started a program in a university. And that was the starting point. And what I'd like to tell you is that you might think that, okay, photonics for the wealthy countries or advanced countries, but we don't have it in Kazakhstan. That is true. But if you think photonics is the way to go, then you had better start now. So the Korea started 1970s without anything, and then it took almost 20 years, more than 20 years, 1970 to 1990s, to start the photonic industry. It started from the very primitive LCD display, and then there is a very primitive semiconductor industry. In the semiconductor industry, you need a photolithography to print electronic design on the top of a semiconductor wafer, and that was the starting point. So, but I think that Kazakhstan has a better starting position. The capita for GDP is more than 10,000 US dollars, which is far better than Korea. So I'd like to say that human impact is the basis for the industrial development. So without human resources, you cannot do anything. Of course, you can think that, okay, there is no industry, so why don't we let industry come in and then do their business? Of course, they can do it, but will it help? In my experience, and I think in Korea's experience, it does not help. You need to have your own people. You need to have your own route to further develop your own technologies so that human resources is the basis of industrial development, I should say. So I'd like to make some kind of conclusion. So Kazakhstan should make a balance between the energy and IT to keep the sustainable development. And hopefully, with the adapting the most updated technology, including the lasers and the photonics, hopefully Kazakhstan could start manufacturing and to be a frontier manufacturing countries. And furthermore, I'd like to see that Kazakhstan could be the pioneering optical pipeline of the data, land, and the sea, and the sky. I think that Kazakhstan can do it. Kazakhstan can lead in this area, and I hope that the NU students can devote themselves in this area, and let there be a light. That is my final comments. Thank you.